Hello guys and welcome back to another episode. So in this episode we're going to talk about Elemental Shamans in World of Warcraft patch 8.2. So we're going to talk about all the stats, essence, Azerite, talents and rotation. So in all this is going to be a very basic guide but also very good. I mean, you're going to learn all the basics and what is the pros doing and what is everyone almost doing for Elemental Shamans. So when you've watched this and you're following these steps, you should be pretty good as Elemental Shaman. So let's dive directly into it and go through step number 1, that is stats. So to step number 1, stats. So let's talk about first the recommended stat for Elemental Shamans. So the first recommended stat is Critical Strike, that will help all your spells do additional crits. And also, everyone likes those big numbers when you actually do a Critical Strike. Just for killing a rumor, Critical Strike is not increasing the damage of Lava Burst, even though I know Lava Burst has a 100% chance for crit when you have a Flame Strike, but it will not increase the crit damage on Lava Burst. It will just make every of your spell just have more chance to crit. Stat number 2 is Haste, and Haste is increasing to your Flame Strike is dealing more dots. The dot damage is dealing more times, so equal you'll get more stacks or more procs of instant cast of Lava Burst. Really good. And also increases all your cast time on all your spells, and that is really good for Elemental Shamans. Versatility is number 3, and basically just increase your flat damage and also decrease the damage you're taking. Mastery is the last one, and Mastery is not really that important. I know it has the spell Elemental Overload where all your spells have a chance to cast the second one, but it's not really close to any of the other stats. But again, I really recommend going into raid bots and sim your character to see which stat is actually the best one for the gear and talents you're using right now. I simped my character and it actually told me the same. So after simming my Elemental Shaman, it told me exactly the same stats I need to go for. So in my case, I think it's pretty clear which stats I have to go for. It's the same as the recommended and simmed. So that is the stats I do recommend as Elemental Shaman. Now we're going to talk about this essence, the new system in patch 8.2. So the first essence I do highly recommend is Condensing Life Force. If you look at most of the pro players, they are actually running with this one, and if you go to all simulated websites and see, this one is dominating in damage. So by any amount, pro players play with it, simulation websites show it has most damage. What can go wrong playing with this one? But of course the rank 3 is the best one, but play with. But if we take number 2 on both simulation and also what pro players play with, it's actually the Crucible of Flame. So everyone has a Crucible of Flame, that's pretty basic one to get. Condensed Life Force can of course be a bit more hectic to get, but the Crucible of Flame is like something that everyone should have. So if you don't have Condensed Life Force, I can highly recommend playing with Crucible of Flame as your major essence. So those are the 2 essence I highly recommend, but again, number 1, Condensed Life Force. As the Azerite traits, I think we have no doubt of what people actually are using here. First of all, very important, you need 3 stacks of Igneous Potential. Everyone has to get 3 of these stats. For the outer ring of Azerite, I don't care what the other the Azerite trait you have. Igneous Potential is just so important to have 3 of them. You need 3 of them no matter what. Just capiche, boom, get 3 of them. After that, I'm actually personally don't care what you have, but I can still recommend something. I would still say have at least 1 Natural Harmony, 2 can also be good. So for example, go with 3 Igneous Potential and go with 2 Natural Harmony. But you can also go with 1 Natural Harmony and 1 Lava Shock, for example. There's different combinations of different Azerite. I could probably list 5 different here, but still, it's 100% safe to go with Ignition Potential, 3 of those, Natural Harmony, 1 to 2, and Lava Shock it's up to you, but it's good. But you could also go with 2 Natural Harmony. But again, 3 ignatius potential and 1 natural harmony no matter what. Capiche? Boom. So that is the Azerite traits I recommend for outer ring. So let's talk about the inner ring, not inner ring, sorry, middle ring. The first one you need to have no matter what, you need to have 1 and just 1 overwhelming power. It's very important you get 1 overwhelming power because it just gives you so much haste. After that one, it's actually a bit up to you, but all those 3 I'm showing here, and that's actually also 1 more, but for example these 3 here, it's up to you which one you want of these. I mean, Unstoppable Flames are giving you more crit, so of course crit is the recommend stat number 1, so that will give you more crit. That's really good. Azerite energy course through reaching, well, 132 primary stat, so Earthlink is giving you more intellect, also good. Elemental Whirl is giving you crit, straight haste, mastery versatility. So all of these is actually, you just need 1 overwhelming power, and then I really don't care which one you go for, Unstoppable Flames, Earthlink, Elemental Whirl. I just recommend 1 overwhelming power when you go to the middle ring, and then go with whatever you want. Go with 1 Unstoppable Flames, 1 Elemental Whirl, and you will be good. But that's all I just ask for, is 1 overwhelming power in your middle ring, and in the outer ring, free I hate that word, ignatius potential, and at least 1 natural harmony. So that is the Azerite traits I do recommend for Elemental Shamans. So it is time to talk about the talents as Elemental Shaman. So right now as Elemental Shaman we have a build that is kinda dominating in raids and mythic dungeons. I mean, if you don't trust me, go to Warcraft logs, look up on both raids and mythic all the pro Elemental Shamans. This build is dominating. So first of all, let's go through it. First of all, in the first row we have Echo After Elements. It gives you 2 charges of Lava Burst, and it's really good because it's the synergy you have with Echo After Elements and Master of the Elements is so good. I mean, it's just perfect. It's really good, really good. So Echo After Elements is the first one I really recommend in this one here, and nothing else in this row I recommend. For the next row, it's actually up to you. Totem of Mastery is giving you a solid damage boost. No random, no nothing, just a solid damage boost on Totem Mastery. Aftershock can in some cases also be really good, but the problem is that it's random. Every time you use Earthshock or Earthquake, you have a chance that it actually just refund all the Maelstrom you spend on it. And when it actually happens, whew, the damage on the damage meter is going crazy. But again, you can have a fight where this will never happen. So do you want to play with the random talent, or do you want to go with the static one where you can control the fight? That is up to you. On the next row, it's pretty much up to you if you want to have a lower cooldown on your static charge, if you want to have an Earth Shield that helps you heal out, or if you just want to have Spirit Wolf that can help you out. That's totally up to you, doesn't have any damage improvement. Then on the next row, I am only recommending on this row, Masters of the Element. If you play correctly with Master of the Elements, whoosh, damage. I mean, and it also makes, the problem with Elemental Shaman is that the rotation can be a quite bit boring, and with Master of the Elements it's actually making your rotation much more funny. Really much more funny. I mean, it's really good. Next row, I can recommend Nature's Guardian if you want to take care of yourself, or Windrush Totem if you want to help your whole team with just running faster and running faster. Yeah, I was trying to find something clever to say about it, but yeah, running faster. Yeah, so you want to make your team run faster, or have a save button so when you close to die, you would actually get some healing and not die. So yeah, that's up to you. On the next row, I do only recommend Primal Elementalist. I know Ice Fairy was a time, it had a shining time, but now Primal Elementalist is just such an amazing talent, and it creates it. I mean, the damage is just cool, and it makes your cooldown just much more efficient. Both your fire elemental and also your earth elemental is great when using prime elementalist. So highly recommended. And for the last row, I do only recommend Stormkeeper also. I know Ascendance is nice, you're getting a nice form in the game, but it's not worth. Stormkeeper is much more worth, I would say, in any cases. So again, this build here, highly recommended. Again, on row 2, Aftershock or Totem Mastery, that's up to you. Nature's Guardian or Wind Rush, up to you. Else, perfect talent tree, and it makes the rotation much more fun. Personally, I hate playing with Ice Fury, it's not fun. But that's why I'm so happy that this one right now is meta. So that is the talents I do recommend as Elemental Shaman. Let's talk about the rotation. So first of all, it's very important to know what are we actually doing. What do you have to look out for? So first of all, let's talk about rotation and how it works. I just want to cover something. If you're playing with Master of Elements, I do highly recommend. We have a little, like, when I use Master of Elements, what should I focus on using my Master of Elements on? Should I just should I just ignore it and use it on whatever I want? Or should I actually use it on something important? And yes, you have to use it on something important. Every time you get a Master of Elements, there's like 7 different scenarios you have to think about. First of all, priority number 1. If there's more than 2 targets plus 2 targets, you have to use Earthquake. You can see here. If there's no plus 2 targets, you have to use Lightning Ball that is only empowered with Stormkeeper. So no normal Lightning Ball, but only Lightning Ball empowered by Stormkeeper. That's priority number 2. Priority number 3 is Earthshock. Our good Earthshock. Priority number 4 is Frostshock, but only if you have using Ice Fury to get damage boost. In this case, because we're not playing with Ice Fury, it doesn't matter. Then it's Lightning Bolt, and of course normally Ice Fury and Frostshock. But in our case, it will be Earthquake, Lightning Bolt with Stormkeeper, Earthshock, Lightning Bolt. That should be pretty, commonly to know. But this is the overall rotation on with the Master of Elements. But again, and if you're thinking right now, what is the Master Elements actually doing? Well, every time you use a Lava Burst, then for 15 seconds, the next Nature, Physical or Frost spell increased by 20% damage. So that means if I use my Lightning Ball now, it will then increase the damage by 20%. So that is why it's very important that we follow this rotation. So again, we're not going to use Earthquake because right now we're talking single target. So that means Earthquake is kind of dead and we don't talk about it. That means it will be Lightning Ball empowered with Stormkeeper, that would be number 1, Earthshock number 2, and Lightning Ball number 3. So let's talk about the damage. How do you actually play as Elemental Shaman? Let's talk about the rotation first and with the opener without cooldowns first. First of all, let's just talk about it easy peasy. How are you supposed to play Elemental Shamans? First of all, exactly 4.5, almost 4.5, let's say 5 seconds before the tank is pulling, you're going to use Stormkeeper. That is the first thing you do. Use Stormkeeper every time you want to precast a fight. So every time you're going to start a fight, use Stormkeeper 5 seconds before or 4 seconds before. And then you have to use Totem Mastery. So those 2 spells are like kind of reused. I know my Stormkeeper just went off, but that's how it is. So we can also say 3 seconds, but you know what I mean. When you see the tank here and he's running against the target and there's still like 3-4 seconds till he actually will attack the target, use Stormkeeper and Totem Mastery so they are ready. That's like priority number 1. Then what you're focusing on is casting a Lava Burst, and no, not Flame Shock. Never start with Flame Shock, never. So Lava Burst and then very fast Flame Shock. You need to use Flame Shock before Lava Burst is hitting the target, because else Lava Burst will not crit. I know in old days it didn't work this, but Blizzard, they have fixed it in patch 8.1 I think it was. So now you can actually, if we put that out, when I use my lava burst, I can put in a flame shock before. My flame shock will hit the target instantly, and then when lava burst hits, it still gives us that 100% crit. So it's really good. So again, before the fight starts, Stormkeeper, Totem Mastery, Lava Burst, Flame Shock, and now because we have a Totem of Master of Elements, we're going to use Lightning Ball as number 1 because it's the highest priority when having a Stormkeeper. So Lightning Ball. Boom. I mean, that is like the opener. After this, you're going back to your normal rotation, and basically the Master of Elements is controlling your rotation. It's actually just it's that easy. So your rotation is, well, first of all, you have to keep up your Flame Shock all the time. Flame Shock has to be active on your target all the time. So that's like priority number 1. But beside that, every time you use your Lava Burst, you have to use this Master of Elements rotation. So right now, because my Lightning Ball is not empowered, I have to use Earth Shock. Then when I use my Lava Burst again, okay, my Lightning Ball is not empowered, I cannot use Earth Shock, then I have to use my Lightning Ball. Then Lava Burst again, Lightning Ball, Lava Burst again, and now I can use my Earth Shock. And again, Flame Shock has to be active all the time. So again, your rotation is keep a Flame Shock on your target all the time, use Lava Burst, but don't use, I mean, it's very tempting to use 2 Lava Bursts in a row, but never use 2 Lava Bursts in a row. Because when you use your Lava Burst, you have this Master of Elements you need to use. You need to use it. So boom, Lava Burst, and then Earth Shock, Lava Burst, Lightning Ball, Lava Burst, Lightning Ball, and there you go. I really hope you do understand what I mean. So now we're going to try using our opener with cooldowns. So just an important thing, you have basically only 2 cooldowns, well 3 actually. You have Fire Elemental, Earth Elemental, and Heroism. Heroism is not a spell you just use. You have to talk with your team when are we actually going to use Heroism, because it's going to have a 10-minute cooldown. So your cooldowns are going to be Fire Elemental and Earth Elemental. Of course, the first thing you always do is using your Fire Elemental as number 1. But there's a very important thing you have to notice. Fire Elemental should only use, highly recommended should use together with Heroism. So of course, if you're not going to use Heroism on this boss because it's on cooldown, you just have to use Fire Elemental. But if you know that someone is going to use Heroism soon, like in for the next 1 minute, then you wait with using Fire Elemental till you get that haste buff, because your pet is actually also getting affected by that haste. So that's really good. So Fire Elemental should of course be used all the time, but if you know a big haste buff is soon coming, like Heroism or Bloodlust, then just wait those 30 seconds or 60 seconds before using it. But of course, if it's more than 2-minute cooldown or more than 1 minute cooldown, then just use your Fire Elemental because it only has 2.5 minutes. So you know what I mean. So use your Fire Elemental as much as you want, but if you can, always save it together with a Heroism or Bloodlust, and it will deal so much damage. When Fire Elemental is finished, you have to use your Earth Elemental. So Earth Elemental is like really important because, but this is like important. If you're using Primal Elementalist, you cannot have more than one Elemental on active once at a time. So I will not be able to use Fire Elemental and Earth Elemental on the same time. My Earth Elemental will then override my Fire Elemental. That would not be good. So always use Fire Elemental first, and then when it's finished after those 30 seconds, you can use your Earth Elemental that will be there for 1 minute. Use it, do it, and don't think about the aggro. On bosses, Earth Elemental will never aggro a boss. It cannot aggro a boss. But of course, trash mobs, be careful, because if Earth Elemental is going to automatically take aggro on trash mobs, and if your tank wants to move all the trash mobs from here to here, it can be hectic and maybe result in a wipe. But on boss fights, don't worry, Earth Elemental will never take aggro. Boom. So let's try the rotation again in a full wheel, and I'm trying to make it slow as possible and still trying to do it. So again, Stormkeeper, Totem Mastery, Lava Burst, Flame Shock, Lightning Ball, Lava Burst, Lightning Ball, Lava Burst, Earth Shock, Lightning Ball, Lava Burst, Lightning Ball, Lava Burst. So that was like the rotation. The reason for why I also did Lava Burst, Lightning Ball, Lava Burst, Lightning Ball in the start is because you have Stormkeeper active. So keep in mind, never use 2 Lava Bursts in a row, never use 2 Lightning Ball in a row, because you want that Master of the Elements. I hope I'm clear, and I'm trying to tell you that never use your spells in a row, always one boom, 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 and so on. And again, always use Earthshock over Lightning Ball with Master of Elements, except if Stormkeeper is active, so your element Lightning Ball is dealing 150% more damage. Really great. It's really great. Super great. And again, remember, if there's more than 2 targets, use Earthquake instead of any of your spells. Then Earthquake is the most important one with your Master of Elements, like Capiche, boom. Inside this rotation, it's actually up to you when you want to use your Fire Elemental. You just have to use it together with Heroism or just when you want. I mean, it could look like this, so you could use your Stormkeeper, Totem Mastery, Lava Burst, Flame Shock, Lightning Ball, Lava Burst, Lightning Ball, and then Elemental. Also very important, your Elemental is actually having a spell called Meteor. It deals 9k damage, well 8k this time. And it's also, it deals damage in 8 to 9k damage in 10 yards. So in a trash mob pool in a dungeon, it will deal super damage, really super damage. So it's very important that you use your Meteor, and remember, you only have your pet for 30 seconds, so you will only be able to use Meteor 1 time. But remember to use it. It's 10k free damage. Your Lightning Ball and Lava Burst doesn't even deal that damage. So when you can get 10k free damage from your pet, that's not a bad idea. And again, after you Fire Elemental, use your Earth Elemental, and it will basically help you with damage. It's free damage. What can you possibly complain about? And of course, you could disable the threat, the aggro here, so he doesn't aggro trash mobs. But again, it's free damage. So I hope I did clear on the rotation that you have to use the Master of Elements rotation with using Lava Burst and then Lightning Ball only if it's powered by Stormkeeper, else Earthshock. And of course, you don't have Earthshock or Empowerment, then it's Lightning Ball. And you just basically switch between those spells. But again, personally, I think this is a super fun rotation, and I really like it. The state of Elemental Shamans right now is perfect for me. So that was the rotation. So I do hope you enjoyed this Elemental Shaman PvE guide, where we have been going through stats, essence, Azerite, talents, and rotations. So leave down a comment if you have any questions at all, or leave down a comment if you want to tell me I'm wrong and I have no idea, because I'm pretty used to that now. Every time I make a guide, people hate me. But we all have opinion about how to play the game, right? So this is just my view on how to play Elemental Shaman. So again, thanks for watching, and well, let me know in the comments what you think. So thanks for watching, and have a nice evening.